Now it is being recorded, isn't it? Hmm? So we are discussing AIR 1964 Supreme Court, page number 1645. That is B. Gajapati Rao versus State of Andhra Pradesh, as a landmark judgment given by Justice Sarkar, Justice Hidayatullah, and Justice Mudulkar on the proposition whether a criminal appeal automatically abates upon the death of the accused person. That was the issue in the matter before the Supreme Court. So, as I told you that here, the husband was tried for murder under Section 300 IPC, 302 IPC, for killing his wife with revolver. The Court of Session acquitted him on the ground that it was accidentally fired, but the High Court did not agree with the contention. In the appeal filed by the state, the High Court of Andhra Pradesh convicted him to undergo life imprisonment. Now, during the pendency of the appeal, the when the judgment was given and before the matter could go to Supreme Court in SLP, the appellant died. The husband who shot her wife, he died. During the trial before the Court of Sessions, he was suspended by his employers, the Andhra Pradesh Electricity Authority, and his wages were withheld. Substantial amount of about 40,000 in the year 1960. It was a big amount. Now, upon his death, his children, the High Court recorded, and in the wake of the fact that the accused person has died, and the criminal proceeding abates. I mean, you cannot ask the children, anybody else, to go to jail or to be convicted in his place. That is not the object of criminal law. Now, here the children, the son and daughter, they filed a SLP in the Supreme Court under Article 136 of the Constitution, challenging the order of conviction passed by the Andhra Pradesh High Court against the father. Inter alia, on the ground number one, that they are the children of the accused who died, and they have a right to carry the matter forward, prosecute the matter, and would like to see the sentence of death which has been awarded upon him by the High Court is set aside by the Supreme Court, which is quite speculative. There is no guarantee, even if they come on record, when the matter is contested, they will win the case, number one. Their belief was that when the conviction is set aside by the Supreme Court, in the appeal that may be filed when they come on record, when they are allowed to prosecute, that the government of Andhra Pradesh, the electricity authority, where the father was working and whose emoluments, service amounts were withheld to the extent of 40,000, would be paid over to them. That was the main thrust of the case. The Supreme Court judges, all three of them, while dealing with the provisions of CrPC and examining the various English and American law, in English law, there is a provision here that if a person is convicted and even if no fine is imposed and is ordered to go imprisonment, the family members can make an application, they may be allowed. That is, they have discussed, Justice Sarkar has discussed this issue. When you see that, I do not know, when you are taken out a judgment which has got paragraph number है, देख आपके पास paragraph number है. The issue which was discussed of the English cases is in paragraph number 11. It says that at the hearing, counsel cited cases from the English court that the Supreme Court of the United States, English cases referred to are collected in Short and Miller's practice of the Crown Office to Crown, and the cases of the United States are referring to Antotian in 87 Lawyers Edition 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 Lawyers Edition series. The English practice appears to be that there must be a direct monetary liability attaching to the living of the reason for the impugned judgment before they can be allowed to continue an appeal filed by a dead person. That is one. Para number 12, there is a good reason for holding that criminal prosecution in which the state is anxious to bring the offender to book with a view to getting him punished for a crime comes to an end and the death of the person arrives. The same principle must apply also to the appeals of the conviction, except insofar as the judgment already rendered touches which would be legal representatives or executor as the case may be. Beyond that, it is not possible to conceive the remoter interest, because if the law were to take into account such remote interests, every appeal would have to be continued after the death of the appellant. In my judgment, the present petition does not claim any direct interest, and appeal must therefore be taken to have been abated. I agree that the petition be dismissed with the case. This is the judgment given by Justice Hidayatullah, accepting the case, accepting the judgment of Justice Sarkar, and Justice Mudolkar also is affirmed the same opinion. So, in short, the long story short here, in Indian law, abatement takes place. The no sooner the accused person dies, there is nobody, in case conviction is recorded by the court, either the magistrate or a court of session or the high court or Supreme Court, you cannot ask family members to go to jail, isn't it? So it has to abate. It is not like a civil case where the plaintiff or defendant dies, they can be allowed to come and record the cause of action surviving. Here the cause of action dies. Huh? Here the cause of action dies. That is why Justice Hidayatullah has clearly mentioned in his judgment the doctrine of the which paragraph it is the doctrine is mentioned. Can you just point out to me? Yeah. When with the death of a person, the cause of action comes to an end. We mentioned this yesterday last week. But it is only in cases where the accused person is ordered to go under imprisonment as well as fine. So naturally, when he is dead, he cannot undergo imprisonment. As regards fine is concerned, he is recoverable from the estate of the deceased person. So the appeal or criminal proceeding can be kept alive, provided the order of fine is ordered here. So please see, this is the language also imported in section 394. Abatement of appeals, 391, 1 subclause 1 says, every appeal under 327 abates on the death of the accused. That is enhancement of the sentence. It is only on sentence. Then subclause 2 says, every other appeal under the CrPC except an appeal from sentence of fine shall finally abate. So, an appeal or a criminal prosecution where fine is recorded, that doesn't abate. So, the government has a right, duty to recover fine. Suppose in a 498A case, the woman is alleging, my in-laws, my husband have ill-treated me, committed atrocities upon me. So it's an offense under section 498A, punishment for 3 years. Then thereafter, what happened? When the trial takes place, the woman dies on account of injuries to her body. Then the case is converted into a murder case under 302. Isn't it? When she has died, and when the court has recorded a conviction of all the accused person or few of the accused person to undergo jail term and also ordering fine a sum of rupees 1 lakh, 2 lakh to be paid, that it has to be paid to the relatives or to the state government. This is recoverable. So the proceeding do not abate here. So in this case, the father, the husband commits the murder of his wife, and the husband has been convicted by the High Court. When a conviction is recorded, the criminal law is that here the proceeding come to an end. So the children here made an application to the Supreme Court under 136 that we may be allowed to continue the proceeding by filing SLP. Why? The Supreme Court asked him, why you want to come? Because 40,000 rupees which is accumulated to this account can be claimed by us. Number one, he has suffered stigma on account of the conviction recorded. We want his name to be restored back. He has not committed the crime. He should be acquitted with honor. And our benefit is that the company which has withheld the amount will give us. The Supreme Court said that there is no guarantee. It's a speculative claim. When the SLP is whether allowed in your favor or not allowed, you get it or not, is not sure. But as regard your father is concerned, he will not undergo any punishment. So the abatement takes place. Yes, had it only been a case with regard to fine or a person dead and gone, the dual order is passed both for fine as well as conviction, then there is no problem in keeping the matter alive. So the language of section 394 clearly says that all appeals except appeal from sentence of fine, they abate. So the abatement is not totally, the abatement takes 100% no sooner the accused dies. Please note that. But when the complainant dies, they can come on record. A complainant dies, second complainant, children, wife, relation, the trustees and the legal representatives may come. Like in the Code of Civil Procedure, we learned under Order 9 or under the provisions of Order 22, Rule 1, 2, 3, the plaintiff and defendant dies, the heirs come on record within 120 days under Article 1, within 3 months under Article 120 of the Limitation Act. And if they don't come on record, the civil proceeding abate under Order 22, Rule 9, and you will not be permitted to file a second suit. So under the criminal prosecution here, the doctrine of abatement only applies only when the accused dies. When there is a fine involved, punishment of fine, the fine can be recovered either by the state or by any of the person, the family member, by execution. Because recovery of the money matter it is. This can be done in a execution proceeding under Order 21 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Isn't it? That is how the concept here. Please, unless anybody has any doubt, ask me before I take the other doctrines. The doctrine under the provisions of Section 300 CrPC and Article 20 subclause 2 CPC, and that is auto for acquit and auto for convict. This is anybody has any question before I take up this topic? कुछ पूछना है anyone? Because the Supreme Court has said in the proceeding, in the judgment of Andhra Pradesh, the proceedings, though the provision is only made with regard to abatement in CrPC only with regard to appeal, but they also, since appeal is the continuation of the trial court proceeding, they also apply to trial court. That is what Justice Hidayatullah has said it. Please check it out. I won't be reading it here. It's a lengthy judgment. Go through that. Any doubt before we shift here? कुछ पूछना है किसी को? Anybody? Yeah. Now, the next question is under the Code of Civil Procedure. Section 11 पढ़ चुके हैं आपने? Have you come to res judicata? पढ़ चुके हैं? Has any professor taken you so far res judicata? Hello?
Yes, sir. It has been done.
Huh? It has been done. So you know where res judicata applies? All of you know, understood that concept?
Yes.
Yeah, it is a branch of estoppel. Huh? And estoppel is coming under section 115, 116 of the Evidence Act. You are stopped from leading further evidence to continue other proceeding because your former suit has already been decided. समझे ना आप? Your former suit has already been decided. The doctrine of res judicata applies. That is a branch of issue of estoppel. Estoppel, I think in the earlier lectures we went through that. Estoppel under 115 of the Indian Evidence Act. Now, whereas auto for acquit and auto for convict, this is a French expression. Auto for means previously acquitted and previously convicted. Please underline this. I have sent you the material also on this. Yeah. Now, this particular term, the auto for acquit and auto for convict, is derived from the English common law. Formally, it's a French term. Even French also, they follow the English common law. Then also the Fifth Amendment of the American Constitution, and it is brought into our Indian Constitution, Article 20, subclause 2. Please open your Constitution of India, if you don't mind. Article 20 खोलिए. I would like to read Article 20, Section 300. Yeah. Article 20 chikri. Protection in respect of conviction for offences. So the Indian law under Article 20 is only granting you protection only in respect of auto for convict in conviction. But so far as auto for acquit is concerned, that benefit is not given. In England, it is applicable to both. If you are acquitted or you are convicted, second trial will not, second criminal complaint cannot be filed. But if in India, if you are acquitted for A reason, B reason, you can again be recharged depending on what the crime is, which the court is, whether the court was competent or not, whether evidence was recorded. Like in the case of res judicata will not apply to ex parte decrees. ये मालूम है ना आपको? You learned this or not? Mean the defendant did not file his written statement, did not participate in the trial. The court only heard the plaintiff and no evidence was recorded. And the evidence only of the plaintiff was recorded and no cross-examination. No issues were framed. When decree is passed and defendant files a second suit for a declaration that a decree is fraudulently set aside, the court cannot hold that the plaintiff cannot take up the plea. A second suit in respect of the same cause of action is not maintainable. So it is distinguishable. Second suit is only barred provided the issues in both the suits are substantially same, parties are same, representatives are same, the cause of action is same, and the previous court had jurisdiction to entertain and try the claim, and in the first suit the court had frame issues. The defendant had filed written statement. Both the parties have participated in trial. Both the parties led evidence. There was examination chief, there was a cross-examination and re-examination. And the learned judge has given record findings on each and every issue. After giving a finding, the learned judge has passed an appropriate order dismissing the suit or allowing the decree, allowing the suit, do may say. So when a decree is passed or refused by the court, if it is not challenged in appeal under section 96 CPC, which is the first appeal, which is filed within a period of 90 days from the district area and the city of Bombay within 1 month's time under the Limitation Act, that you have to see properly. Then second suit on the same cause of action will be, suppose you have filed a suit for a declaration that the defendant is a rank trespasser. The court after recording the evidence has held that here he is not a trespasser and he has acquired the status of a deemed tenant or a irrevocable licensee of the premises and entitled to protection, or he has acquired the status of what you may call it being a person in adverse possession for more than 12 years. So the plaintiff has lost the suit. The defendant decree is passed in his favor and his possession is protected by virtue of decree. So after 10, 20, 15 years, your plaintiff's son or grandson cannot file a second suit on the same ground that the defendant's children who are in possession are unlawful occupants. They do not have right title interest. They should be ordered to be evicted and the property belongs to my grandfather, thereafter my father, thereafter it belongs to me. So if the defendant produces the decree passed earlier, that this matter has already been adjudicated 20 years ago between the same parties, how a similar suit would lie? So on the doctrine of res judicata under section 11, that is hit by, and the court will not allow the suit to proceed based upon the doctrine of estoppel under section 1, where the plaintiff is estopped from contending to the contrary. Having suffered a decree, having not challenged the same, it is not open for him to re-agitate the same issue. Now, under the CrPC, under the criminal jurisprudence, a person once having been convicted by a competent criminal court, he cannot be retried subsequently. That is known as, under the CrPC, a doctrine of double jeopardy. He cannot be jeopardized twice in a double manner. So the protection is emanating first from Article 20, the देख लीजिए. I will read Article 20, subclause 2. Protection in respect of conviction for offences. No person shall be convicted of an offence except for violation of a law in force at the time of the commission of the act, charged as an offence, nor be subjected to a penalty greater than which might have been inflicted under the law in force at the time of the commission of the offence. So naturally, when something is not an offence, black magic was not an offence under the Indian Penal Code in the year 1970, 80, 90, 2000. So when black magic is not an offense, prosecution is void. But the state of Maharashtra has recently, about 5 years ago, passed a black magic act. No, earlier there was no such act. If the magistrate record a conviction, it is illegal pursuant to Article 20, subclause 1, and he will be acquitted. Now, we are coming to Article 20, subclause 2, which is important, which is which has a germane to the issue, that is out of or acquit, out of or convict. No person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense for more than once. Underline this. This is the concept out of or convict. Whereas in England and USA and France, they have both auto for acquit and auto for convict. Mean a person previously convicted and previously acquitted cannot be re-agitated the issue before the court by launching prosecution again. So in India, only the person who has been punished, prosecuted and punished, there must have been a criminal case either before the court of magistrate who was competent to try, namely judicial magistrate. If it's a case before a, for example, executive magistrate, it is no prosecution. If it's a case filed before an inquiry officer, he is not a court. Huh? There are certain matters which are given to you. In a Sea Customs Act, a man brings gold from a foreign country and is arrested, which is an offense under the Customs Act and Sea Customs Act. A custom officer holding, he is not a court. Subsequently, the matter is sent to Commission of Inquiry. Commission of Inquiry records a finding that he is guilty and evidence is recorded. But the Supreme Court in many cases, the FL Commission of Inquiry is not a court and conviction recorded is no conviction. It is only a judicial magistrate under the scheme of the CrPC who holds a trial. Subsequently, he has been remanded back that the trial should take place before a magistrate. The magistrate again convicting him. So the plea that may be taken by the accused that I was prosecuted before the Commission of Inquiry earlier and I cannot be prosecuted again by the judicial magistrate first class, that contention will not hold water because the officers, the Commission of Inquiry being not a competent court, they cannot record judicial evidence. Evidence can only be recorded under the CrPC by the judicial magistrate first class, second class, session court, isn't it the High Court and the Supreme Court? These are the courts. The definition of a court is given to you under the Evidence Act which are related to you. The arbitrator is not a court. The tribunal is not a court. So the proceedings which have taken place before a tribunal are disposed of in your favor. The defendant cannot file a suit in the civil court on the same cause of action. And he can file it. Suppose, for example, in the consumer court, you approach the consumer court for damages for deficiency of service against the builder for not delivering a flat to you. The consumer court has rejected your claim for A reason, B reason. That doesn't mean that you cannot file a civil suit. Would it be res judicata? Can anybody tell me? A consumer court has rejected a flat purchaser's application for putting him into possession or giving him damages. Does it amount to res judicata? Can he not approach the civil court? Yes, he can approach the civil court because the consumer court is not a court, it is a tribunal. And section 3 of the old act and now section 100 of the new act, Consumer Act, tells the proceedings before the consumer court are in addition to and not in derogation with the proceedings in other court. So the proceedings which you may be adopting under the Specific Relief Act for a declaration that the agreement of sale is valid and subsisting, and the defendant is bound and liable to honor the commitment and put you into the flat, huh? And he may be ordered to specifically perform the part of his contract. So this matter goes to civil court, either the city civil court or the Bombay High Court in the city of Bombay. So by no stretch of imagination or by necessary implication, the decree or order which may have been passed by the consumer court against the flat purchaser would stand a bar. Suppose your deemed conveyance application is rejected by the competent authority in Mahada building under section 10 of the MOFA Act. Again, there is no bar. That doesn't stop you from going to the High Court for establishing your title and filing a suit for specific performance under the Specific Relief Act. Please note that, yeah. So that they cannot be subject. So here, in the criminal prosecution, in order to a person want to invoke the doctrine of auto for convict, means the doctrine of double jeopardy. First and foremost, the accused must have been tried before a competent. He must have been prosecuted in a competent criminal court having jurisdiction after the framing of charges against him, and where evidence was recorded by the magistrate or a court of session or a competent criminal court, maybe a high court or a special court. Number one, after framing of the charge and adducing evidence in the criminal prosecution, the gentleman must have been convicted, maybe say for an offense of cheating, misappropriation, fraud for a period of 2 years. Suppose if he files an appeal, appellate court set aside, that's a continuation. Suppose, for example, he made an application to the court, an application under section 360 CrPC, probation of good conduct. Your Lordship was pleased to, Your Honor was pleased to convict me for the offense of cheating, misappropriation, a breach of trust. I am a first-time criminal. My record is very clean. I have firm roots in society. This honorable court be pleased to take a lenient view of the matter and grant me protection under the Probation of Offenders Act, in which the punishment is recorded, but the court lets him off by recording his bond of good behavior undertaken to the court. He will not violate any law. So that is still a conviction. So the other side, having come to know the applicant, he has been let off under the probation of good conduct without challenging the order in appeal court, he files a second complaint before the magistrate that he should be again tried for the offense of cheating, breach of trust. That will not be maintainable, because he has already undergone, he has been convicted. Whether he has spent 1 day in jail, 2 days in jail, thereafter he was let off in probation of good conduct is immaterial. When probation was granted, why did you not go in appeal? Having not done so, after you cannot get up from your slumber after maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 10 year, whatever period may be, and file a second complaint on the similar ground that he has not sufficiently undergone punishment and he should be again retried. That is not permissible. So Article 20 subclause 2 gives the protection more than once. Now please open section 300 CRPC. थ्री हंड्रेड में आ जाइए. Chapter 24, starting general provision as to inquiry and trial. Person once convicted or acquitted, not to be tried for the same offense. Now, whereas Article 20, subclause 2 is only using the expression prosecuted and convicted. It doesn't use the word acquitted. Whereas this section 300 says that here, a person who has been tried by a court of competent jurisdiction. So court, he must have been tried and the court must be competent and having jurisdiction to try. So earlier proceeding in the last previous lecture, we learned which are the criminal courts who are having jurisdiction. Where the criminal proceeding commences, what are the powers of the magistrate, powers of the session court, powers of the high court, we learned here. So their powers are very important. If the magistrate having no jurisdiction assumes power, that also we learn the proceedings before him are nullity. Like earlier in the civil court, we mentioned to you that decree having been passed by a competent, not a court which is not competent, not having jurisdiction, the decree is void. Just about 15-20 days ago, last 2 weeks, the Honorable Supreme Court in the leading judgment came from Madras, says that here, without following the procedure under Order 33, without appointing a guardian, you are passing a decree, the decree is void and nullity. In Chand Paswan's case, the Supreme Court said that here, way back in the year 1950 to 54, where when a suit was filed in a Munger court, where jurisdiction issue was not taken, ultimately before the Supreme Court, the defendant cannot raise the issue, but they mention a paragraph in number 6, when the decree is passed by a court not having jurisdiction, it can be challenged anywhere, even an execution proceeding. So here, a criminal, in order to invoke doctrine of double jeopardy, the criminal prosecution must have been tried before a competent criminal court having jurisdiction to try for the offense, and it must have convicted or acquitted the accused. Conviction and acquittal takes place only after recording charges before the court of sessions and before the magistrate in a warrant trial. Charges must be mandatorily framed. It is only in summons cases or summary cases charges need not be framed, but the magistrate can record evidence directly in a summary manner. As regard the procedure before the High Court, same procedure for trial before the Court of Session is followed, and the High Court also, when conducting a trial, by transferring itself from Sessions Court, any other court, under Section 407 CrPC, or under the provisions of any other law which permits the High Court to try the case under Section 95 CrPC, 96, it must record finding. It must frame charges against the accused. It must give an opportunity to lead evidence. And the accused and complainant must be examined and cross-examined and re-examined following the principles and guidelines laid down in the Evidence Act. then only when final order is passed, shall while such conviction or acquittal remains in force, not liable to be tried again for the same offence, nor the same fact for any other offence for which a different charge from the one made against him might have been made under subsection 1 of section 221, or which might have been convicted under subsection 2. Section 221 speaks of a clubbing of the charges if a cheating has taken place and misappropriation or breach of trust. So, more or less, same type of a nature, they can be clubbed together within 1 year if the offense has taken place. So, if the magistrate has already convicted him or let him off, that is, acquitted him for the offense of cheating, and without passing any observation with regard to on the misappropriation, subsection 1 says that you cannot file a second case. Your remedy was you should have told the magistrate charges may kindly be clubbed together and common evidence may kindly be recorded in both the trial together, and this honorable court be pleased to hear the matter amalgamating both the charges. If you have not taken that step, the magistrate or a session judge has proceeded to pass the order of conviction in some of the section, leaving some other section, then it is not open for you to file a second complaint. You had the opportunity. Like under the civil court, the law tells you under order 2, rule 2, you must file the plaint, the entire cause of action must be included. And if you omit any portion of the claim without the leave of the court, your portion is gone. That suit is barred. There the doctrine of principles of estoppel under 115 will come into play, because you are knowing about the fact. Despite knowing the fact that you had a cause of action, 2 cause of action, 3 cause of action, 4 cause of action, deliberately omitted. When your grandfather has left behind properties in Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, which fact you are fully aware of, and you are only suing the properties in Bombay by filing a suit in the Bombay High Court recovery of that money. And you have not sought leave under clause 12 to club other charges, other proceeding. Having not done so, after 4 or 5 years, when the suit is dismissed, you cannot file a suit and go to Gujarat and Delhi or maybe Bangalore, file a new suit they try. Then order 2, rule 2 will come into play, because you have not taken steps. So similarly here, when more issues or more charges are there, you have a right to ask the court to make an application, because of course all charges under the CrPC, when you open the provisions of section 220, it must be 218 से joinder of charges. 218 पढ़िए आप. Separate charges for distinct offences. For every distinct offence, when a person is accused, there shall be a separate charge, and every such charge shall be tried separately. That is the fundamental rule of a criminal law. But the proviso says, provided that where the accused person, by an application in writing, so desired, magistrate is of the opinion that such application is not likely to be prejudicial, the magistrate may try together any number of the charges, though there is no bar. So in this first case, the accused has to make application. The court must be satisfied the accused is not being prejudiced. Subsection 2 says, nothing in subsection 1 shall affect the operation of provisions of 219, 220, 221, 223. So, it is the bounden duty. The court is enjoined with a duty to club all the charges where they have been committed within 1 year. The nature of charges are mentioned: criminal misappropriation, breach of trust. देखो section 220 में आप check करें, even 219 में भी mention करें. 379 theft, 380 theft in a dwelling house, they are common nature. थेफ्ट तुम्हारे घर में भी किया उसने चोरी, ऑफिस में भी किया, फैक्ट्री में भी किया. You cannot prosecute that man 3 different places for 3 cases. So the court can clap together all these proceedings together and try one trial. Now in the case under 220, misappropriation, that is 403, and committing a breach of trust 406, and 409, classification 471A, the court can clap together. Your accountant has misappropriated the fund, pocketed himself. So their separate charges are required to be framed under 218, but by virtue of the subsection 2, the court can club it together. So when they are clubbed together, that is what here 221 के अंदर आ जाइए आप. 221 speaks of a case where it is doubtful when the offense has been committed. In case of a doubt, then the court resort to section 221, how different charges are framed. Illustration is given. So it is merely an irregularity if the court has not clubbed it together. It is not a very big deal. Like an issue in the civil court, the court is required to frame all issues. If one issue is omitted or not tried, but if evidence is late, the court can pass a decree. If both the parties have failed to draw the attention of a judge that this particular issue of waiver, issue of Dr. estoppel are necessary, but there are pleadings and there is evidence. So in a procedural law, not framing of a charge, not framing of an issue is merely a procedural matter, but they don't vitiate the trial as such, provided there is a material before the court to proceed ahead. So if there is a material before the court that there are 2 offenses of cheating and misappropriation, theft under 379 and 380, and if conviction is recorded in one and nothing is said about A, second complaint will not lie by virtue of section 300. Okay. Then 2 में आ जाइए. A person acquitted or convicted may be afterwards tried with the consent of the state government for any distinct offense for which a separate charge might have been made against him at the former trial under 220. Now, here a person has been arrested and charged under section 327, causing grievous hurt. Isn't it? आपको मालूम है इसके अंदर. He has been let off. He is acquitted. Then after 6 months, the person dies. After 6 months of his month, on account of the same injury, the doctor has given injury report that the injuries which have caused are with some weapon. But during the trial, the weapon was not produced for A reason, B reason. So the magistrate gives him benefit of doubt, he was acquitted. But the same person, the same accused, the same victim dies after 6 months. Then a charge under section 302 can be brought against him as per separate charge. समझे ना आप? As per the language of 320 here, this is the law here, which is a distinct thing. So after recording a conviction, acquittal order under section 327, if the offense is compounded or aggravated, culminating into a higher charge, subsequently he can be tried for a different charge, but not for the same offense under 323 or 327. Okay, this is number 3 पे आ जाइए. A person convicted of an offense constituted by any act of causing consequences wished together with constituted different offenses, convicted may afterward be tried for the last mentioned offense if the consequences had not happened were not known to the court that happened at the time of the conviction. Now, in bomb blast cases, several of the accused persons have been tried. Some of them have also not attended the court. Proclamation has been issued. Some of them are hiding in foreign countries. Some people are acquitted, for example, for some offenses. Some people are convicted. So when the conspiracy took place in a foreign country, the trial took place in Bombay, then when the accused comes to Bombay after a few years, maybe after 10 years, 15 years, he can be retried because he was earlier not tried. So that is permits here. So he cannot take up the plea of double jeopardy. The earlier, this same matter was tried by the session judge, in which conviction was recorded or acquittal was recorded, and I cannot be tried. But you are not there that time. So that permits you. Then number 4 पे आ जाइए. A person acquitted or convicted of any offence constituted by an act may, notwithstanding such acquittal or conviction, be subsequently charged with and tried for the other offences constituted by the same act which he may have committed, but the court which he was tried was not competent to try the offence. Like Antule's trial was held in the High Court, which is not a special court. So the Supreme Court gave a finding that trial was incompetent. The Nayak versus Antule, who was the former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, you must be knowing that these are reported cases. So the trial was taken place in a court not having jurisdiction. So it is a nullity. Subsequently, a trial taking place in a competent court is proper. That is what the meaning of 300-year killing. A person discharged under section 258 shall not be tried again for the same offence except with the consent of the court which he was discharged or any other court with the first offence. Now, there is a distinction between discharge and acquittal. You know that during the pendency of a criminal case, before the Court of Sessions, and before the framing of the issues, the accused can make an application, my lord, there is no material against me in the matter. Yeah? And there is no need to frame issues and waste the time of the court by going for a trial. Please note that. When that is so, under section 227 of the Collier, 227 Collier CrPC, the session court has power to discharge the accused even without framing charges, even without going for a trial. Because the judge must be convinced. The public prosecutor has opened the case under section 226 and the trial has been conducted by the public prosecutor comments. Public prosecutor has described the offence and the charge sheet is also produced before me under 173. But a reading of the charge sheet, I am not quite inspired. The judge may say, the accused may say, then come to section 227, he can ask for discharge. If upon consideration of the record of the case and of the documents submitted therewith, and after hearing the submission of the accused and the prosecution in that behalf, the judge may consider that there is not a sufficient ground for proceeding, and the accused shall be discharged and record reason. So this section 227 doesn't contemplate the judge must record evidence. There is no requirement of recording evidence. A session judge is a judicial officer, a senior most officer, a very competent man who knows From the material, he will come to know whether to proceed or not to proceed. Why should I waste my time in a case where the police officer had not properly conducted the investigation? Why should I allow the accused to suffer? Why the witnesses suffer? So, the court, after hearing both the parties and without recording evidence, please note that, only perusing the first information report, the documents produced under section 173 of the CrPC, the court said that there is no material to frame a charge. So he will discharge the accused. Order of discharge means the accused is not required. The case is closed. But the order of discharge is not equivalent to acquittal order. See, when you see that in a acquittal order mean, acquittal is passed order only after recording evidence. Kabhi? Only after recording evidence. After framing charges, cross-examination take place, re-examination take place, examination chief take place. Whereas in the case of discharge, there is no evidence is recorded. There is no need to record evidence. Like in the civil cases, when you present an application for rejection of a plaint under Order 7, Rule 11 CPC, the civil court is not required to record evidence. He cannot say that I will club the application along with the main suit. No. He should decide the application there and there, dispose it of. If the judge comes to know that the plaint does not disclose any cause of action, that it does not have jurisdiction inherently, he will say that I will not like to proceed with this suit. I am rejecting the plaint under Order 7, Rule 11. So, in a criminal case, what is the time now?
Seven.
7:47.
40
Yeah.
PM.
Yes, I will take this.
7:41.
Yeah, I will take for another 2 minutes. Then we'll stop it here. We take a small break, then come to the topic. So, the order of a discharge is not an acquittal order. That means, after collecting more evidence, the public prosecutor, the police officer can again, they have a right to retry you. When you are retried, the accused cannot take up the plea that it is a double jeopardy. He cannot invoke the doctrine of double jeopardy pursuant to the provisions of section 305. Then 6 take over. Nothing in this section shall affect the provisions of section 26 of the General Clauses Act or section 188 of this code. Now 188 check karo kya hai? 188 mean offences committed outside India. When offence is committed outside India, then section 4 CRPC come into play. Section 3 and 4 IPC will come into play. Like the bomb blast case. Some of the accused have fled America, London. Some are in India. So the offence is committed even outside India. They can be brought into question. So section 300 will not protect them when the offence is committed under 188 in the jurisdiction of a foreign court. Please note that here. Explanation: the dismissal of a complaint or discharge of the accused is not a acquittal for the purpose. So dismissal of a complaint. Now dismissal takes place. Take for example section 204 khole aap 203. Under section 203, please open this. Dismissal of a complaint. If after considering the statement on oath, if any, the complaint and witnesses the result of inquiry under 202 magistrate of the opinion that there is no sufficient ground for proceeding, he shall dismiss the complaint. In which case, they record reasons doing so. So when an order of dismissal of a complaint, private complaint is passed, it is not jeopardy, double jeopardy will not apply. A second complaint is maintainable. A second complaint is maintainable provided the complainant gives some cogent reasons before the magistrate. He has collected more evidence. Because you know that under the scheme of the CrPC, in a private complaint under section 190 read with 200, the magistrate number one in the first instance, when he want to take cognizance, he will examine the complainant and the witness is present. That is first course. That is called verification. He does it. If he doesn't want to record evidence, if he is not satisfied, he will say that I will hold inquiry to the another magistrate, 202. He will send the matter for holding inquiry. The third is, I will send the matter for investigation to the police under 156(3) or appoint a person. So there are three instances. Then after receiving the police report or an inquiry report from the magistrate, or he himself is satisfied under 200 that I have recorded the deposition evidence of the complainant, I don't find the commission of any offense at all. So I am therefore not issuing any process. I am dismissing the complaint under 203. So that order is outside the purview of section 300, the doctrine of double jeopardy. That means the complainant can again come out after 6 months, 2 months, 3 months with more material, file a second complaint. Please note that under the scheme of CrPC, filing of a second complaint is not barred. I will give the judgment tomorrow in this point. Whereas in CPC, you cannot file a second suit on the same cause of action if you have omitted it. And you can only amend your pleading if some of the facts have come subsequently and come on record, or certain facts could not be brought to your notice for A reason, B reason. Your procedure is to go for an application under Order 6, Rule 17 to amend your plaint and not to file a second suit. When somebody has defamed you, you filed a suit for injunction, perpetual order of injunction, restraining him not to issue defamatory comment. You did not file it, pray for damages. After 6 months, you cannot say that I want to file a separate suit for damages. That you are hit by Order 2, Rule 2. इसीलिए leave लेना पड़ेगा. That clearly, if you don't obtain the leave of the court, you are relinquishing the cause of action. So this is with a view to see that the litigants must be cautious. They must be diligent. They should not be lazy. They should not be indolent. They should not be sleeping like Rip Van Winkle for 20 years and come before the court anytime they want and file the suit. Any Tom, Dick and Harry is sent to the court, file a proceeding. No, you cannot take the court of law as a matter of joke. It is a serious process. Approaching the court of law is a serious business. It involves the fundamental right of the other side, the accused person. In a criminal prosecution, anybody cannot be arrange a party. There are Supreme Court judgment which say that here the court should not, as a matter of court, issue process. That is why the proceeding can be quashed. So then that is one aspect, complaint. Then discharge aspect is covered. I gave you one example under 227. There are other two provisions under the CrPC when the accused is discharged that I will cover after the break. Okay? After a break of 10 minutes. Is it okay? Anybody want to ask? Anybody want to ask question right now or after the break? After the break?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. After the break.
After the break, I will cover the other two cases where the discharge order can also be passed by magistrate in the two proceedings and criminal. You learned of the proceedings. The magistrate dropping the proceeding, not taking, dismissing it. There is also one more procedure where the proceeding dismissed, and High Court also quashing and dismissing. I will come to that here. After 10 minutes break. Okay? See you after 10 minutes.